Flying a commercial aircraft is often compared to a choreographed dance, but what happens when that dance suddenly needs to change mid-performance? Today we're exploring how a single misstep in altitude management during an aborted landing could spell disaster.
You know what fascinates me about this topic is how it perfectly illustrates the delicate balance between human expertise and advanced automation. I was just reading about several close calls during these procedures.
Let me paint a picture for everyone. Imagine you're approaching Kaohsiung International Airport in Taiwan, flying an A320 weighing hundreds of thousands of pounds. The weather's deteriorating, and suddenly you need to abort the landing, what we call a go-around.
That's when things get really interesting, because this particular airport has what pilots call a double constraint situation. Could you break that down?
Well, think of it like climbing a mountain with mandatory rest stops. You can't just race to the summit. You need to climb to exactly 3,000 feet, then make a precise right turn, and only then continue up to 7,000 feet. Miss that first stop and you could find yourself in serious trouble.
The complexity really comes from how the aircraft's automation handles these altitude changes, doesn't it?
Exactly right. The Airbus A320 has this mode called SRS, Speed Reference System, that automatically engages during a go-around. Here's the catch. This system is laser-focused on maintaining the correct airspeed and climb rate, but it might completely ignore those specific altitude constraints.
So it's almost like having a super smart assistant who's really good at one specific task but might miss the bigger picture.
That's a perfect analogy. And in a place like Taiwan with its mountainous terrain, missing that intermediate altitude isn't just a procedural error. It could mean ending up in restricted airspace or, worse, too close to terrain.
Let's talk about how experienced pilots handle this challenge. What's the proper technique?
It all comes down to something we call FCU discipline, Flight Control Unit. Before initiating the go-around, you set only that first altitude constraint of 3,000 feet. Think of it like programming your GPS for your next immediate turn instead of your final destination.
That timing must be absolutely crucial. When exactly should pilots switch from that first altitude target to the final one?
You wait until 3 specific conditions are met, reaching that initial 3,000 feet, completing the right turn to heading 245 degrees, and establishing on the correct bearing to the Oasis waypoint. Only then do you dial in that final altitude of 7,000 feet.
How does this play out in terms of crew coordination?
It's like a perfectly synchronized dance. The pilot flying handles the aircraft's trajectory, while the pilot monitoring makes crucial call-outs about modes, altitudes, and navigation parameters. Every word and action needs to be precise and timely.
That level of precision must require extensive training. How do pilots stay current with these procedures?
Through a combination of simulator training and something we call line-oriented flight training, LOFT, pilots practice these procedures repeatedly in realistic scenarios, including various weather conditions and system malfunctions. It's about building muscle memory while maintaining situational awareness.
Looking at everything we've discussed, what would you say is the key takeaway for understanding these complex procedures?
It's about respecting both the capabilities and limitations of aircraft automation while maintaining strict procedural discipline. The technology is incredibly sophisticated, but it still needs human judgment to operate safely within the constraints of the real world.
That really puts things in perspective. It's not just about pushing buttons or following procedures.
Exactly. And that understanding becomes particularly crucial during non-normal situations. What happens if you lose an engine during the go-around or if there's a system malfunction? These are the scenarios where pilot expertise becomes invaluable.
The complexity of modern aviation never ceases to amaze me.
And that's really the heart of it, finding the right balance between automation and human expertise. Whether you're flying into Kaohsiung, Kathmandu, or any other challenging airport, success comes from understanding both the technology and the human factors at play.